What's up and welcome back to episode 83 presented to you by Boot Crew Media and Company Burger located on 4600 Ferret Street. It is the home of your last place in the Western Conference, New Orleans Pelicans. My name's Justin Napoli alongside Ross Tivino. Ross, before I get into this show is brought to you by DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PPT. Bet just $5 on any NBA team to win their game, and you will win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win with promo code PPT this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an authorized sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Pelicans lost last night, and that wasn't the main story. And we're gonna dive into that, but we're gonna talk about the whole Zion Williamson situation as well. Joined here with Ross Tivino. Ross, what's going on today, brother?
Just another week in the life of a Pels fan here. I know we're in last place, but we're only 4-9 at home. Much worse on the road.
What are we on the road? What are we on the road?
Like I think we're 4-12 on the road, 4-9 at home. I mean, I'm looking for any sliver here.
It's been so hard to be positive, and I'm trying to I've really tried to be positive this year, and it's just hard right now. And I want to talk about a little bit about the game last night. And listen, man, they battle their ass off for 3 quarters, and then it eventually runs. It's the same way every time, right? This team loses they battle their asses off. They play hard. They want to win. They don't necessarily know how to win yet, but they want to win. This is way different from last year. But eventually, they just run out of talent every single time. So, last night, they're down 1, going into the 4th. I fire off a tweet. I said, "Hey, Pelicans are playing hard, but these next 3 to 5 minutes will define the game because this is where Brandon Ingram gets his break. He plays the whole 3rd quarter. He's kind of getting into a good groove. He's basically taking over the game, being the all-star that he is. Literally goes out the game. Spurs going 7-0 run." Mm-hmm. And I in the tweet, Ross, and I want to get your thoughts about it too. I said somebody needs to step up. Nobody stepped up.
No, yeah, and look, is the same story. Obviously, blasted the Pistons, but the game before that against the Nuggets, same thing. Played great down the stretch and just run out of gas late in the 4th quarter.
Do you think it's
kind of can't put a team like that away?
Talent?
Well, I don't know. I think it's all. I sort of just lump all of that the same because what happens is BI starts to, I guess it's run out of talent, right? Because there's times in the game where you need someone else to just step up. I mean, Valanciunas is playing his ass off out there, but he's not the type of guy that, hey, everybody get out of the way. We got to get a bucket. We got to win this game. I don't know. That's not him. And there's just times where you need another really good player to close out those games. I mean, and it doesn't people. I don't say that to mean we need another guy that you can just dump the ball to go get a bucket. It's more of just you need another really good player to help. Maybe it's a defensive stop, right? Maybe it's a big rebound. Maybe it's a guy that stands out there and knocks down open look. It's a litany of different things. It's not just we need another superstar, right? We need Zion back. We need all we're in these games without Zion. So, whatever, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but he ain't coming back. So we got to figure out how to win games with what you have. And I think that's we're in that sort of, to your point, in that mold right now. How do we convert these close losses to W's? So, look, it's a learning curve. Willie Green, I think we questioned some of the rotation stuff a few weeks ago, but I think he's doing it from a morale perspective.
He's been fine
with all this
Willie's been fine.
Shit.
Might have lost. Hold up, Ross. Might have lost you there on the connection feed. So I'll probably take this one. But yeah, the problem isn't Willie Green. Willie Green's been fine overall for what the hand he's been dealt.
The team, he's just see some W's.
We might have to.
I mean, I thought the Nuggets one would have been huge. I real chances to win that game.
Wait, hold up, Ross, hold up. Can you hear me? Can you? Yeah, your internet. You're like super choppy. All right, let's redo that whole thing. Let's start with that whole thing again. We lost you there. I think we might have you back. Go ahead. What you were saying?
Well, I've sort of lost my train of thought. But it was basically just that you've got to figure out how to win these games, right? We don't have Zion. He's not coming back. How can you convert these close losses to wins,
right?
With the players you have. And the Nuggets, we had a really good chance to win that game. I thought that would have been huge. But the most important thing for me is that the team is still together, right?
Yeah.
If you go watch, this is a totally. Last year, we would go into huddles and people would not look at Stan Van Gundy. They would go sit there and pout on the bench or look pissed off, or there was no togetherness. There was no continuity. It just is it doesn't feel like that, right? I'm at the game. Like I see what's going on. Like it just is a different morale feeling with the team. That's unquestionably positive.
Sure.
That's a good thing. Whether you're winning or losing, like that, you have to have that to take the next step, don't you? I mean, you've coached a ton of basketball. If the team all hates each other and they don't want to be there and they're grumpy and everything else, like it just doesn't convert to wins for the most part. I like that we're building that. I would love to see a few more wins, but I mean, you're going to be hamstrung now. Everybody saw the Zion news. We sort of, I think, we foreshadowed this, but we are where we are. And so, what's the next step?
Yeah. And the next step, and you bring up some good points, right? And so that's why I think this feeling this year is a lot different than last year. Last year was just miserable. This is more frustrating, right? Like you want them to win. They play hard. They show up every night usually. And Willie's, they're fun to cheer for. They weren't fun to cheer for last year. They don't have like any Bledsoe on the team. Like I'm pretty hard on Satoransky, but Satoransky isn't even close to the Eric Bledsoe level of hate.
Oh God.
So they're fun to watch, and I enjoy watching them. But to your point, like we always run out of talent, and I'm looking at it, and we're going to answer some fan questions. But Devontae Graham going 3 of 11 from the field last night, 2 of 6 from deep. He's starting to struggle a little bit. Josh Hart's great, but he's we've talked about this on this podcast multiple times. He's not a 33-minute guy. That's not his role. His role is like 20 to 22 minutes energy off the bench, and he's being slid into a spot now because who do you turn to, right? Satoransky, Nickeil Alexander-Walker's been kind of a disappointment this year. And then to my next point, Ross, is Trey Murphy. We're 8-21. We talked about this last year, and you had already mentioned it 2 weeks ago or a week ago with Kyra Lewis, and he started to get playing time. Then of course he pops his ACL. And I actually didn't mention that in the pocket. Like prayers up for Kyra Lewis. I feel so bad for the kid. I was there. It was just so disheartening because he was playing some good basketball. He really was.
He was.
That was tough. So I didn't want to go without saying that. But to Ross, I mean, what am I missing here? Number 17 overall. Listen, maybe he's struggling. Maybe he's not getting defensive assignments. Maybe he's soft. Maybe he's a little bit in the doghouse. But at the same time, man, you're 8-21. There's no point in playing Garrett Temple and Satoransky 13 minutes and 17 minutes and your number 17 overall pick playing 5. Like you talked about this last year, I'm gonna let you go here, but we're not 16-9. We're 8-21. At what point does Willie say, all right, screw this, let's get Trey in, let's get him 20-25 minutes a night, that will be my goal, and live with the results?
I think I've kind of went back and forth on this a little bit because we were both very frustrated about this a couple weeks ago. I think after the new year, you'll probably see it. I don't know if they were holding out hope that Zion would come back. I think there was probably more learning for Trey than maybe we suspected, just because he played so well in summer league. I think we all got too excited, and I truly thought that he could come and hang out on the perimeter and knock down open looks outside of Zion and BI. I thought that at the time we didn't know that Zion wasn't going to play. And so he's the type of guy, and it's hard to, he's a rookie. Like it's just hard for rookies that are like that to be really successful right away. I think in the second half of the year, especially now with some at least some clarity, right, on the Zion situation, I think you'll start to see him play more. I think you'll see him kind of play just more 2, more 3, and more 4, just to get him on the court.
Seriously.
But it's hard because my gut tells me that the plan for him coming in was spread the floor. I mean, there wasn't going to be a lot of there wasn't going to be a lot for him offensively other than hang out in the corner, spread the floor, and knock down shots. And for the most part, he's shot the ball okay from deep.
38%.
And I think that's why Devontae Graham is struggling a little bit. Those guys were brought in to hang out on the perimeter, spread the floor. There wasn't going to be a huge offensive burden in the game plan for them in preseason. Well, that all went to shit. So I think the learning curve for Trey Murphy was bigger than we expected, because I think when Zion didn't play, there was more opportunity on the table that he wasn't ready for. My hope is that he's learning something. That I think that's the most important part, is that, hey, look, even though you're not playing a bunch of minutes, and I wish he was, you need to be learning something.
Can I cut in?
So watch Garrett Temple, watch some of these guys play, and hopefully after the All-Star break we start to see more. I'm with you. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
And I understand what you're saying, but come on, man. Like anything with life, like you got to do it to learn. I talk about me and you didn't know how to do a fucking podcast a year and a half ago, but guess what? We kept doing it and we learned and we got better. Now, am I comparing us to an NBA basketball player? No, but learn. Like last night, he got backdoored, I think maybe late in the first, early in the second. Good. Now he knows to learn. Now he knows how to snap and turn now. Like,
yeah. And the other part is maybe there's an expectation coming from Virginia, because I truly think his problem has not been on offense. I mean, he's a rookie. I mean, they're going to make shots. They're going to miss shots, defense. Whatever. Who gives a shit? It's defense. And I think my hunch is that coming in from Virginia, I think they probably expected him to be more sophisticated defensively than he's shown us. Yep. And that, as well as I do, that's the shit that pisses off NBA coaches. Yeah. You come in, you get backdoor, they're like, man, look, if you can't give a focus the fuck out. Pardon my language, but I mean, I say all the time, they'll live with some bad shots. They'll live with that. They'll live with a bad shooting night. They'll live with, going in the paint and not really going up strong. That's all stuff. Hey, as you get bigger and stronger and a little more aware of how defenses are going to play you, all that good stuff, like they're just not going to tolerate either lack of effort on defense or just not knowing what the hell you're doing. And I think that's been the bigger surprise, and that's why he hadn't played a lot. And so hopefully that's what I mean by, I hope he's learning a little bit. Yeah. And then you give us a little bit on the defense. Look what Herb Jones is a nothing on offense. He's a nothing on offense right now. And hopefully he becomes something on offense, but right now he's a nothing. And he's playing a shitload, and he's been impactful in games, but it's because he's giving you everything on defense.
Yeah, and
I mean, just learn, and this is what I mean. Learn something and change, right? That's all I can expect.
Okay, well, let's start giving more of 10, 15 minutes. Like get backdoored a couple times. Like I understand that, but these are rookie mistakes, man.
But 5 minutes. I know, but the point is, like, I hear you, and I do, and I don't necessarily disagree. But if you got backdoored last week and you come in and you get backdoored in your first 5 minutes again, I'm probably pulling you out too, because to me, you're not learning.
That's fair.
That's all part of it.
It's fair.
That's all part of it. And so I think what they want to see is progression.
That's fair.
He's got to show progression.
That's fair. At the same time, can he get more than 5 minutes?
He needs to be getting more than 5 minutes. But it's coming. I mean, there's nobody else to play.
I understand. And to pull him after getting backdoored, that's fine. Completely understand. But don't just give up on him. Like, get him back in there. Go talk to, Collins, or go talk to, Casey Hill, or whoever, runs, or I'll go talk to you and hey, you got to understand the snap and turn there. You got to see the back door. You got to be in weak side help. One of those things. You don't pull somebody out and just sit them the rest of the game. That's not learning. I'm sorry. It's just not learning. It's not learning to me. So
you're right. You're right on that. And we're at a spot with the roster where we just don't, I don't think we have the luxury of not playing. Who else are you going to put in? I mean, at this point, Stephen Offner is going to be playing small forward for us here in 2 weeks.
You probably do it for free. Do we have the worst backcourt in the league?
I'd have to probably think about that for a second. Orlando's backcourt is pretty shit, but yeah.
Josh Hart's been great. I'm not trying to be a dick to Josh Hart, but I mean, Nas been playing okay as of late, but it's just there's no guard play. And that's the problem you mentioned earlier in this podcast. There's nobody that can create separation. Like even Brandon Ingram, he's not a guy that's like going to take you off that's not his game. His game is more coming off pin downs, hitting 15 footers, spotting up for three, and then taking to the rack kind of thing. But there's not a guard, and we haven't had a guard, and we talked about this, that can create their own shot. Like Devontae Graham can't create his own shot. Like literally no ball screen, like one-on-one, I'm going downhill, I'm going to beat my man.
Yeah, so his one-on-one game is usually going to get you a step back three or something like that. But I mean, I don't. Those are just not things like those are not. So surely we looked for it in the offseason. I mean, they tried to go get guys. It just is not.
Was Nas supposed to be that?
I think the expectations. I think they expected Nas to take another step up, and I think I think you're seeing the type of player he is, and that's not a bad thing. I think I think at this point in his career, he's a real solid bench guard.
I like Devontae. I don't think he's a starter, but he's like McKillop.
He's a starter if Zion's there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's hard because we're looking at the guys on the periphery, and like every role player is not the type. Like they're a role player for a reason.
Yeah,
they're not a star. They're not a guy that you expect to go do things that are out of their sort of wheelhouse. Like we got Devontae Graham to go, in my opinion, be a little bit of a combo guard, but mostly to hang out there, knock down wide open threes, which he has done throughout his career. Go look at his corner three number.
Yeah,
that's what he's done. We didn't get Devontae Graham. We got Devontae. Like we didn't get him to be like, hey, you're our lead guard. Go run this entire offense. Like that's not what. That's not his. That's not what we. I don't want him doing that.
So this team, this team doesn't work
when he starts doing it. Like these are the results you're going to get. I don't. It's just unfair to me to. It's unfair to me to consistently criticize guys that in my opinion are role players when we're asking them to do more. Like,
Let me get to this, Ross. By the Sniper Project 360, we absolutely need to trade for a guard. We're gonna get to that a little bit later here. We do, but when you're 8-21, I mean, when you're 8-21, there's not much more you can really do. And then let's get to the what I've been wanting to talk about. Me and you and Steven been texting all day yesterday about this, but let's bring up a tweet from Jake Madison, our friend over there on Locked On Pels. Jake Madison was talking with somebody yesterday and had dropped a bomb, and this is it. So what about him? He's talking about Zion here. What about him skipping rehab workouts? What about him falling asleep during film sessions last week? Or wow, when I first saw it, I kind of had to do like a little bit of a double take. And I wanted to dive into this the film session thing doesn't really necessarily bother me. It's annoying from a coaching standpoint. Like if I was a coach, it would bother me as a fan, like, whatever. He's not really playing. We've seen him doze off on the bench. He's a kid, right? He's immature. The skipping the workouts, Ross, you've played, Division I, you play at the highest level. When you're that age, and you're hurt, and it's a serious injury. Let's call it a spade. It's a foot injury, and he's 285 plus, right? That's a serious injury, and there's a report coming out that you're skipping rehab workouts. Has he done everything to get back on the court? Because when you see that kind of stuff, and this is Jake Madison, this isn't like some guy that has no idea what he's talking. This is Jake Madison, who's pretty credible with his sources. When someone's saying Zion's skipping rehab workouts, and you hear all this weight gain and all this different kinds. Is he taking this seriously? I think there's no question that he hasn't taken this as serious as needed. I mean, let's be honest here for a second, right? Coming in the way he looked, foot surgery or not, you can swim, you can ride a bike and stuff. I think him coming in looking the way he did answered that question 2 months ago. This guy Zion is not attacking rehab the way you see other star athletes attack rehab. He just hasn't. And we had heard some of this. A week or two when he got here, and it was like, it's a
it's a bad look, I think, for everyone, right?
Yes.
The Pelicans have to find a way. Zion has to grow up. Okay, we've been saying that for 3 months now. It's time to grow up. You are a professional superstar athlete. You need, for your own good, right? Like don't ruin a career, because this shit will linger. Foot stuff will linger. Knee stuff will linger. Don't lose years off your career by just not taking rehab serious. That's a bad personal decision for himself. Okay.
Yeah.
The franchise, you got to find a way to hold this guy accountable.
That was my.
You got to find a way.
Go ahead.
You have got to find a way to hold him accountable, whether he's in New Orleans. Because I'm tired of Orleans. We don't, right? Like when he leaves, we don't know whether he's playing basketball. There was for a while, apparently they didn't have a lot of contact with him in the offseason. Fuck that. This guy's a superstar on the highest level in this league. Find a way to hold him accountable. We've seen now over a year and a half, 2 years, basically even from when we drafted him to when he came in, right? He needs help. And I don't mean help in a negative way. He needs guidance is the right word. And right now he's clearly not getting proper guidance. Go.
So, great points you make, because I don't think he's taking rehab seriously either. But when you say guidance, and this is why I think that Griffin threw the bags at Kyle Lowry and Chris Paul this year, because his team has really missed a leader, right? I don't think anybody, and to your point, Ross, I don't think anybody's calling him out. I don't think anybody's challenging him. Because right, Willie Green's a first-year coach, rookie coach. Garrett Temple, you think Garrett Temple's going to challenge Zion? You think?
Yeah, I don't see, and we're on a different. We're on a little bit of a different wavelength with that, because I don't look to other players
hold up
for that guidance.
When you say
I'm talking about.
Hold up. When you say hold accountable, who should hold him accountable?
The organization.
So David
the
Griffin?
Organization.
So like what?
The structure? Absolutely. The head coach. The do whatever you got to do. I mean, I don't know all of the means necessary for an organization to hold a guy accountable. Sometimes it's just bringing it up. Hey, Zion didn't show up in the shape we were ready. We're going to work on that. This is some in the offseason. Don't take no for an answer. Hey, look, man, we're not going to have you come in looking, the way you've looked and not ready to play. Like, what can we do? It's a conversation. Right. And part of it is relationship. We've got David Griffin clearly does not have the relationship with Zion that he needs. That's part of it. But there has to be a structure in place for this guy. He's just too young and too valuable to allow this to happen. Put something in place for him to succeed. Yeah. What does that look like, right? And I don't. And I look. I've said this. I think it's past the point. David Griffin cannot do this anymore, because I think that relationship, for whatever reason, right? I won't go into all the bullshit, but is tarnished. Yeah. I don't think what he's saying it means nothing to Zion at this point. You got to get a new voice in there if you want a new Zion. So take that for what.
So from Jamal, if Zion won't accept qualified guidance, then what should be done with him? The only thing you can do is fine him. There's not much more. Like, you can't put him in jail. Like, there's not much more you can do. But to Jamal's credit here, he's yet to be publicly called out like yesterday. Mm-hmm. That's the first time since Zion Williamson's been here. There's been some things with the bubble. It's been under the, Christian Clark had the whole, piano thing and that kind of information. But this is the first time a media member has called out Zion Williamson. It was kind of like a oh shit kind of moment. And I think that's kind of how you maybe might turn the table.
I think so too. I think that someone has to be, and who knows, maybe that was leaked to Jake and it was like, hey, get this shit out there, because we don't know what else to do. The guy has got to be held accountable at this point. You are making a lot of money to play basketball, and you are a superstar. Like, get serious about it, man. Because at this point, honestly, sure. I mean, I'm sure they could trade him, but you're hurting your own value, bud.
Right. Some people have does he not like New Orleans? He's like trying to get out. It's like, well, you don't eat your way out of New Orleans. You don't gain.
But all of this, and I go back to this is the most frustrating thing. All of this happened when he wasn't here.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's not sure he might have a problem with I don't know if any of that's true or not.
He doesn't have
all of this stuff happens when he's not here. He showed back up to the bubble looking a certain way. He showed back up here hurt and looking a certain way. This shit didn't happen when he's in New Orleans.
No.
Everybody's like, "Oh, he went to New Orleans and blah."
That's why I get so pissed off with the whole Jalen Rose, and I tweeted this out, and this whole Stephen A. and the whole Jalen Rose bullshit. And this is like Stephen A. has the right to say. Stephen A. was like, "Hey, I don't really have facts, but Zion won't be there in 2 years." But when like Jalen Rose is like, "Hey, Seattle, New Orleans going to move to Seattle," like fuck that, dude. Like, fuck that. Okay, like that should piss you off as a fan. Like that pisses me off. Right? This isn't our fucking fault. The city is. I talk with fans every single day on Twitter. The city's got the support. I don't want to hear that bullshit. Okay, people show up to the games.
Have you? I mean, yeah, the whole.
Go to the Portland series.
Anything? Have you ever seen anything like what happened when Zion was drafted? Ever in the history of anything?
Fulton Alley.
I'm talking about they threw it was a 2-month celebration here. The guy shows back up tomorrow wanting to play basketball. The guy's loved beyond. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. If you don't want to play in that, then what do you want? I mean, they're just trying to get him to a bigger market. You want to say this? Yeah, and that's all fine and good. You want to go to New York? They're going to eat his ass alive for the shit that he's doing, what he's doing down here. They're going to fucking eat you alive.
Did you see?
So be careful what you wish for.
After the Saints beat the Jets yesterday, the New York Times has Loserville with the 2 head coaches. Zion wouldn't last a second in New York. Like, listen, down here, when this team is good, I think Will Hayes tweeted this a couple days ago. When this team's good, they're supported. People come. Look at the last 2 playoff appearances. Portland was incredible. That atmosphere was awesome. Even when we got swept by Golden State in 2012 or 13, you were at the games. That shit was awesome too. It's like the answer isn't, just move to Seattle. Zion wants out. Like, it's bullshit. Zion's got to grow up. Zion's got to take care of his body, and he's got to take rehab serious. Okay, he's not doing it. I'm sorry, but I have to lean to believe Jake here. You could be like the Zion stan and everything like that. If he's skipping rehab workouts, that's a problem. He needs to be called out. He needs to be held accountable. You're right. And is there any way? The only way to hold him accountable is for a public figure to necessarily call him out. Now, you don't have the veteran leadership. Brandon Ingram's a mute, and that's okay. Jonas Valanciunas, okay. Garrett Temple, Thomas Satoransky, who's going to call him Jose Alvarado? There's nobody in the organization to call him out.
Job. Like, it's not their job to be monitoring Zion's progress on rehab. Like, Zion wants to skip practices. Hey, somebody asked a question like, what do you think about Zion skipping practices? Then you give an answer. Like, it's not Brandon Ingram's job to be like, I don't fucking know what Zion was doing at rehab. It's not even like, I'm on the court. I'm practicing. I'm in film and stuff. Like, I don't know what he's doing. I'm assuming he's doing his job.
That's fair.
Like,
that's fair.
That stuff is not on the players for me. That's on whoever the fuck is in charge of the rehab. We don't know where Zion was.
And I'll tell you, it ain't the Pelicans, because that whole rift. That's another thing with the whole Zion camp. They don't trust Aaron Nelson. Meanwhile, Aaron Nelson's like rehabbed some of the greatest athletes ever back to health. I mean, Amari Stoudemire, Steve Nash. There's a reason why he wins awards year in and year out. And you're telling me Zion Williamson's not going to believe Aaron Nelson? There's this whole disconnect, and maybe it starts with David Griffin. I don't want to talk about Zion anymore. Let's get to fan questions. Let's start it off. Let's go rapid fire. Joey, a Pelican can fly 23. I actually met this guy last week. Pretty nice guy. It's cool meeting these fans, these random fans. Like, so shout out Joey. Does the Zion news make us buyers or sellers at the deadline? Also, news on how hot Griff's seat is. Kind of talked about that. We're going to be sellers no matter what. We're not going to be buyers. There's no point.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Yeah. I don't know what we'd sell, but yeah, we're not buyers. And I think Griffin's seat is on fire.
You think he's out?
Yeah. Bad. Okay. I mean,
yeah. That's 3 years. It's been a mess since he's gotten here. So I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if Griffin was fired. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate the question. At Don Morvici on Twitter, who despises the Pelicans more as NBA officiating or the national media? This is a great question. You got to say the national media. The whole
national media, no question.
Yeah. The Stephen A. Jalen Rose bit was disgusting. It was disgusting. It pissed me off. So thanks for the question. So At Hirsch_Heedy5, do you think that at this point we're past the building for the future status next year?
It really is. I wish they would.
Cut up on us there, Ross. We're gonna have to. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, building for the future. I hate that we're young right now. And that I think that's kind of like a bit of our problem, right? We need some vets that are pretty productive. Ross, you back with us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I think we sort of said that, right? Remember year one, year two, everybody's like, oh, take it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
The whole like, well, we're not, these guys aren't even close to their peak yet. Remember, we threw a big fit about that. How much better do you think they're going to get? We had this conversation. We did this for a whole year. Wait for the future. Wait 2-3 years when this.
Yeah, we're losing Ross there, so I'll just go with it. Yeah, so we'll get back to Will Wade's bag, man. Assuming our pick for Graham turns to a second side, do you see us patching that Lakers pick to get another NBA player using one or both? Picking the draft again. Since Hayes and Naw haven't fully panned out, this is Will Wade's bag, man. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that it hasn't been really a fair rap for Devontae Graham just yet. You know, I got to see this team with Zion, and I don't think we're going to see him. I don't think we're going to see Zion at full health this year, and it sucks, man, because I do think Trey Murphy and Devontae Graham paired with, Zion, BI, and JV are pretty deadly because you can space them out and things like that. So it's just frustrating right now. But I appreciate your question. Pelicans Columbia. I would love to hear you analyze the possibilities of the top 4 pick that we will surely have next year. Given what we have seen of Zion, wouldn't it be valid to think about continuing to build through the draft? I think we got Ross back here. As a small market team, you have to build through the draft, right? And I think we're so young right now. And I think that's what's the most frustrating part about this whole thing is that you look at the roster and we're so young and they don't know how to win. And you're going to go through those rookie mistakes, right? Like we just talked about Trey Murphy of making those rookie mistakes on the defensive end. And it's just going to be speed bump after speed bump after speed bump. I think you got to get a little bit older and not younger, to be honest with you. Now, if you get a top 4 draft pick this year, obviously you're going to take that, but maybe you package it up into some other valuable vet that can come in here, be productive, like Jonas Valanciunas is a great example. But Garrett Temple and Satoransky are not the answers. So I think you got to get older, then you have to get younger. Ross, go ahead.
Yeah, going back to that last question, we talked about that for a long time, right? The whole you wait for next year, wait for next year thing. There's no time to wait. I mean, the door opened, you got to run through it. I just don't know how we make them. I don't know at this point in the season or even this year how or why we make a move.
Yeah, so tough. So Pelicans DoorDasher, 2-part question here. Which player would be a better target for the Pels? Ben Simmons or De'Aaron Fox? And what would it cost to get us that player? I feel like I'm on my own island, but I love Ben Simmons. I don't know how you get him. I think Brandon Ingram has to be part of that package. And I would never, ever, ever do that, by the way. De'Aaron Fox is more interesting. Clearly, I think I saw a tweet from a couple like Davin Mitchell was closing over De'Aaron Fox. I think he's gettable. What would it take to get him? I don't necessarily know. I think it's going to be a couple first rounders. I think you have to include Naw, Hayes, whatever. That's fine. I would get anybody up besides Herb Jones, Ingram, JV, Zion, and Trey to go get De'Aaron Fox. I would. I don't know if you agree with me. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. But I would. That's what I would do with De'Aaron Fox. Try to get Ross back in. He's having some technical difficulties, so it's tough. Dom Lewis, why is Griff refusing to make moves knowing we need offensive help? What players should we target? Why give Sato these minutes knowing it's not working out? Man, that's a tough question, Dom. I don't know what other moves you can necessarily make right now. You're 8-21. You don't really have many assets, right? Jackson Hayes is not an asset. Kyra Lewis is out for the next 12 months. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, not an asset. What assets do you actually have? to make these kind of trades. That's what y'all kind of have to look at, right? To make these trades, you got to have assets. You can say picks, that's fine, but picks can only get you somewhere. You have to have players. And the only players you really have right now are Herb, which is untouchable. BI, in my opinion, untouchable. JV, I mean, you just signed a 2-year extension. I mean, you're not going to really move off of that right now. He's been so productive. Zion, you're not getting rid of Zion. Trey, like, who else can you package up right now? Like, there's not much we can do right now. So, I mean, that's probably why I'm sure he's asking, who can we get? Like, I don't even think we get Ricky Rubio right now, to be honest with you, unless we give up a couple first round. Like, this is tough right now. We're in a tough situation right now. So appreciate your comment and question. Wap Tish at Harfargal. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry, though. Ideal point guard for the Pelicans. Just talked about it. I think Ricky Rubio would be perfect, but I also love De'Aaron Fox. I know he's not much of a shooter, but he can be fixed. He's young. I love his speed. I love the way he attacks the rim. He can also create separation, what this team has been missing for years. But once again, I don't know how you get De'Aaron Fox. So I want to get to some of y'all's YouTube comments. Jamal, I do see this. That's a good point here. Cleveland's won 16 games. Yeah, I mean, Cleveland's hot. Also in the Eastern Conference, but yeah, I mean, they're playing pretty good right now. And listen, I'm not trying to make an excuse. I do think you have to get older. I think you have some young guys that are just not ready right now. They're not. Like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I don't want to give up on him. He's just not there. Or maybe our expectations are a little too high for him. He's just not there. But that's where we're at right now. When you're 8-21, there's not a lot of good things to talk about. So once again, thanks for joining us. You can follow us at Propels Talk on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for all of our YouTube comments. That was awesome today. If you ever have any questions, make sure to drop them in our DMs. We love featuring y'all on the show. And we'll probably be back later in the week. Pelicans have 2 days off and they play Wednesday. So hopefully get a win here. At this point, are you really rooting for wins or are you rooting for losses? I'll never root for losing, so I'm always going to be rooting for wins. But once again, thanks to our sponsors, Company Burger and DraftKings. Make sure to go follow Boo Crew Media as always. Follow us on Instagram or Twitter, and we're out of here. Take care.